Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 52 units of real estate, built up a $6 million net worth, and own a real estate portfolio that cash flows $10,000 a month net. So today I want to give an update about the insurance for my 26 unit apartment complex. So if you watched my prior video, I talked about how I tried to save about $21,000 a year on my insurance policy for my 26 unit apartment complex. And I have a video talking about the different types of insurance, and there's two main types as a quick summary and for those who are new. The first one is replacement cost insurance, and the second one is actual cash value insurance, or RCV for short, or ACV for short, respectively. So I've always been a huge proponent of replacement cost insurance because it's a form of asset protection. So what replacement cost insurance means is if my 26 unit apartment complex burned down to the ground today, assuming everything checked out, the insurance company should give me enough money to rebuild my 26 unit apartment complex, completely brand new, A-class apartment complex to 2024 standards, and basically you come out of a new apartment complex, assuming insurance actually pays you out. That's always the big if with insurance. So because of that, replacement cost insurance is typically more expensive because you have to, the insurance needs to protect themselves in case there's a total loss. They're going to have to repay you $3 million. So for example, my RCV policy for my 26 unit to rebuild my, 12,000 square foot 26 unit apartment complex in Oklahoma, brand new today, it's about $3 million. And every year, the replacement cost value has been going up because labor costs are going up, materials is going up, and the values are going up. So it's very normal for the replacement cost value insurance to go up, but subsequently the price is going to go up. So the first year I got it, I think my replacement cost value was about $2 million, and it cost me $20,000 a year. And I thought that was okay. I was doing a lot of renovations. I was new to apartment complexes, and I wanted to feel comfortable in case of a total loss. And there's more risk because I'm doing so much renovation. So I was like, okay. And then the second year, the insurance went up to $25K, so $5,000 more. And the replacement cost value insurance went from $2 million to about $2.5 million. So I said, okay, well, shopped around and, got quotes for replacement cost insurance, and okay, I had the best policy through Travelers, and I just said, okay, well, let me just continue with it because once again, I'm doing renovations. But now, recently this year, I got renewed again through Travelers, and it was $3 million replacement cost value, and now the insurance is $30,000 a year. And at this point, for some reason, it just slapped me in the face. And it just got me wondering, okay, do I really need replacement cost insurance? Like, obviously, it's nothing wrong with going that route. It's going to cost more money. But am I spending too much money? And remember, if I'm spending a lot on insurance, that lowers my net operating income. If I lower my net operating income, it lowers the value of my asset. So I just said, all right, well, let me see what an actual cash value policy will look like, right? So remember, the replacement cost, if it burns down, I get enough money to rebuild a brand new 26 unit apartment complex in a total loss. With ACV insurance, or actual cash value insurance, it's not going to be as high. So my new ACV policy is $1 million. For context, versus replacement cost was $3 million. And ACV, it's significantly cheaper because they're paying you out less, because it factors in depreciation of the asset. So, for me, when I kind of look at it, I try to look at it like in terms of like total loss. So replacement costs, if my 26 unit apartment complex were to burn down to the ground completely, I would get about $3 million, assuming insurance pays me, to rebuild a brand new 26 unit apartment complex, over the next 2 to 3 years. Versus actual cash value insurance, if it's $1 million and it were to burn down to the ground and I get paid out $1 million, assuming $1 million is not enough to rebuild a 26 unit apartment complex. Maybe it's enough to rebuild a, at 1/3 the cost, so divide 26 by 3, maybe 8 unit apartment complex, A class. So I asked myself, I said, okay, but for ACV it's 1 million and it's gonna cost about $9,000 a year. So I have $30,000 over here for RCV $3 million insurance versus $9,000 for ACV 1 million. I just said, okay, wow, that's a large discrepancy of $21,000. And if you think about that, if I increase my NOI by $21,000, assuming a 10 cap, that's $210,000 in value that I get just by, getting more cost effective insurance. And like I said, in a total loss, I know that I will not have enough to rebuild a 26 unit apartment complex. At best, I can rebuild an 8 unit. But realistically, for me, I asked myself, do I want to deal with building an apartment complex from the ground up? Is the area good enough to warrant me going through the stresses of rebuilding an apartment complex? And my answer was no. If I had a loss, I'd rather just take my money and then invest that money somewhere else. Maybe in a newer market, maybe in a better part of Oklahoma. So once I came to that realization, I just said, you know what? I want to pivot from RCV insurance to ACV. So I just want to get the more cost-effective insurance and, use that money savings to better renovate the property. So that's the kind of the mindset change I made. I said, okay, so I have to ask myself now, if this burned down to the ground, would I want to rebuild it back up? And my answer was no for my 26 unit and no for my 20 unit. If it burned down to the ground, I don't want to deal with new development. I'd rather just take that money, right, and then move on, buy something else and fix something else up, because I don't want to deal with the development. I think that sounds a lot more stressful. I don't have experience in that, so I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just take the money and buy another apartment complex that I can fix up and repeat the process. So if you know that, then that's how you decide which insurance to do. So I kind of went the opposite now, where I bought the best insurance. Now I'm buying just the bare minimum insurance to get by. And before I did this, I talked to my property manager about it, and he knows a lot about insurance and was pretty honest, saying like, you know what, in his mind he hates insurance because you pay all this money, and when you need them, they always try to find loopholes to not pay you. That's why I said if they pay you. So even if I have RCV insurance, doesn't mean I'll get all the 3 million, or even the ACV doesn't mean I'll get the million. So he just said that like, well, just get quotes for both. And obviously if it's just like a little bit gap, let's say it's like $5,000 more for RCV versus ACV insurance, and in that case it's a no-brainer, like go RCV. But when it starts to become like $21,000 in difference, at that point you have to sit down and really assess the situation. And he even told me like, you know what, like it's such a large gap, like I hate insurance, you should just go with ACV if they approve you, because if approved, then that savings, you can allocate that to fixing up the property. So I just said, okay, well, let me go with ACV. So I went through it was a local Oklahoma insurance broker, and because they know the local area, I got an amazing $1 million ACV policy for $9,000. So I saved $21,000 a year in cash flow. It's about almost $1,700 to $1,800 a month in cash flow extra that I add to my pocket now. And keep in context, in Oklahoma, I rent a unit for about $700. So that basically saves me 2 units of rent that's now going to my pocket instead of paying for insurance, right? So not only am I getting about $1,800 more in cash flow, I potentially can increase the value of my apartment by about $210K, assuming a 10 cap. So if I improve my NOI by $21K by lowering my expense by $21K, and assuming a 10 cap, that increases the value about $210K. So that's pretty significant. And it's nice now because the property is stabilized now. And like I said, if it burned down to the ground, let's say I got $1 million. My property manager did ask me, say, hey, touch base with your lender, BMO, to see if they're okay with the policy. And I touched base with them, and they just said, honestly, as long as the insurance is enough to pay them back the loan, they don't care. Like, they don't care if you rebuild it or not. The bank just wants to get their money back. So obviously my loan is about $300,000 or $350,000, and my ACV policy is $1 million. So that's enough. Like if it were to burn down the ground, banks don't care. They just get their money, get their loan back, and they move on, right? They got paid their interest. They made their money already on the fees and the interest that you pay them, because when you do commercial loans, it's mostly interest, right? I pay $2,000 a month, and maybe 200 or 300 goes to principal. The rest goes to interest. So they're making their money already, plus all the fees I had to pay. So, I went through this insurance, and, unfortunately with the ACV, the underwriters were a lot more strict, and for good reason, because the policy is cheap. So initially they actually saw me fixing some wood trimming on the side, and it really turned them off. They just said, oh, the wood trimming looks old, but literally I'm fixing it. And I literally told the underwriter, I'm literally fixing it right now. And then they're just like, no, like the property's too high risk. We don't want to deal with that. It's too old. The age is not good. So they denied my policy. So I was super bummed. So I said, okay, well, I have no choice. I renewed with Travelers, and basically had to pay I think it's over 10 months, 30,000 over 10 months. So I had to pay basically $30,000 or $3,000 a month. So the first month I paid $3,000. Second month I paid $3,000, and the insurance broker said, you know what? Don't give up hope. Just finish the wood trim. Finish replacing the wood, repaint it, and then we'll reassess it. So literally 2 months later, it's all done, repainted, looks good, looks fresh. He came out, took more photos, sent it to underwriter, and now I'm approved. So to me, it was just kind of crazy. I'm like, I was literally in the process of fixing it, and they wouldn't approve me then. And because they wouldn't approve me then, or contingent upon that, it cost me $6,000. And the whole insurance policy is $9,000. So I just said, well, it sucks, but you do what you gotta do. So now I got approved. So I reached out to Travelers and I canceled my policy. And what's nice about when you cancel your insurance policy, you have to look for something called a minimum earned premium. So sometimes when you sign a 1-year contract with the insurance, they want to earn a certain amount of premium before you're allowed to cancel. So fortunately, Travelers didn't have that, but I already paid them $6,000. But what they do is when I cancel, they will prorate me back the difference. So if I paid, let's say $3,000 for the month, and I canceled midway, they'll issue me a check of half. So I only pay per day. So that's why I didn't really give up hope yet. So, for this year, I went from $30,000 in insurance to, I already paid Travelers, let's just say $6,000, and I'm paying this new insurance company, $9,000. So it's $15,000. So it's still cheaper overall. And after that happened, I just said, all right, that's cool. And, this insurance is cheaper, but they're probably going to inspect my property every year. They're going to drive by, take photos, and force me to make repairs on the outside or on the inside. But to me, I'm just like, okay, I don't mind doing that, because if I was paying $30,000 for insurance and they didn't do any inspections, but now let's say I'm saving $21,000 a year on insurance, but they forced me to do repairs, I'd rather allocate the money towards the repair of the property so it can last longer, right? I'd rather spend that $21,000 savings to fix up my 26 unit apartment complex, not to pay insurance, who may or may not pay me out. So that's why I made that pivot, right? And then now I'm doing the same thing for my 20 unit apartment complex, where my RCV is, I think, like 1.5 million, something like that. And I'm paying about $15,000, just renewed it back in May. And I got a quote from the same guy, and they quoted me about maybe $5,000 for an ACV policy for maybe about $800,000. So, hopefully it goes through, and then, hopefully it gets approved. He took photos, and I could save $10,000 there, and $21,000. That's $31,000 that I'm saving a year, and that's more cash flow in my pocket. To divide that by 12, like what's that? Like maybe $2,200 a month in extra cash flow. And I want to I jumped around a bit, but I want to go back to the concept of, okay, let's say I have $1 million ACV policy on my 26 unit. If it were to burn down to the ground, this is how it's going to go, assuming I get all my money. So I get $1 million, right? And let's say for simplicity, my loan is $400,000. So automatically I have to pay back the lender. So I have $600,000 left. And then out of that $600,000 left, probably $300,000 of that is the money I put to renovate the property, right? And if you factor in my down payment, it's another 100,000. So 400,000 of the 600 is just money that I put in the deal. And so realistically, I just walk away with maybe $200,000 in my pocket, plus the money that I put in, plus the bank's paid back. And with that $200,000, I probably maybe have to spend like maybe $10,000, $20,000 to clean up the land. And then at that point, I would just sell the land to a developer who wants to build a, whatever it's zoned for, but build another apartment complex, whatever that is. And let's just say I sell the land for, I don't know, like $100,000. So, walk out with another $300,000. So I'll take back my $400,000 I put in the deal, plus my $300,000 that I made by selling the land. So I have $700,000, and I can use that to go buy another apartment complex. If I could buy maybe a $1.5 million apartment complex, put like, $500,000 down, and then use the other $200,000 to renovate the property. So I'm okay with that, because I'd rather buy it in a better area potentially, or maybe that area won't do so well in the next few years. I don't want to rebuild it. So, so pretty excited to potentially save about $31,000 this year. And this was nice about my real estate portfolio is stabilized now, so it gives me opportunity and time to reassess why I want to do things. Before, I never questioned replacement cost insurance, but now that I sat back and thought about it, like even my 20 unit, like if that burned down to the ground, I would just take my money and invest somewhere else, like in Oklahoma. Like I don't want to be tied to that area, and give me options. So once I kind of accepted that, I was like, you know what, ACV makes sense. Why not save $31,000 a year and put $2,200 of cash flow in my pocket to save for the next real estate deal. So hopefully you found value from this video. Just want to talk about update on my insurance and how I saved $31,000 on insurance potentially. Definitely $21,000, but hopefully, fingers crossed, the 20 unit goes through as well. And once again, if I need to replace that wood trim, then I will. Like if I can save $10,000 a month, a year, why not? If they want me to make some repairs, I'll get quotes for that and see how much it costs, and go from there. But anyways, if you want to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, and check out the mentorship program. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you next one. Thank you so much.